Welcome to Season 2 of the hardest MyGM challenge. This season will be the toughest yet. Our goal is simple, but easier said than done. On all of the hardest difficulty settings, against 3 AI opponents, we have to take a full roster of local talent, aka jobbers, and dominate the world of WWE. In Season 1, our goal was simply to win. In Season 2, things are much trickier. We have multiple challenges that will be extremely difficult to pull off. The first challenge, finish the season over 500,000 fans ahead of second place. We don't just want to win this, we want to absolutely destroy the competition. The second challenge, complete all of this year's seasonal challenges for Hall of Fame trophies. And then there are the challenges for our roster of jobbers to overcome. What will happen to Jerry Hatrick after his shock defeat in the Wrestlemania main event? Will Trixie Gambit ever get her title shot against Penelope Perfect? There's only one thing I can guarantee. There will be shocks and there will be surprises as storylines are settled and new ones develop that we could have never expected. Welcome to Jobbers Only, Season 2. The first thing we'd need to do going into Season 2 is select our keepers. This is the step before the draft where we select the stars that we're guaranteed to keep going into the new year. And 2 of them were easy. There's no way I was letting go of our female champion, the movie star Penelope Perfect, and our US and world champion Jerry Hatrick, an absolute bargain to draft at $106,000. I then had to choose between Stacked McSlacks, Argus the Great, and Triton. I think I made a small mistake here, but it was an easy one to make, and I'll explain why. So, I went for Triton. He had the lowest popularity, but he had 72 stamina. Stacked McSlacks had 43, and Argus the Great had 35 for comparison. At this point, we have no idea if local talent will show up in the draft. I didn't even know if new local talent would appear in the free agent pool. There was a lot that I didn't know. So I signed Triton for stamina purposes because that seemed like one thing that I knew for sure. Now, why was this a mistake? Well, it's pretty simple. The stamina figures here are misleading. They are the staminas that you finished with at the end of Season 1, but it seems that the game randomly reallocates a new stamina to each of the wrestlers going into Season 2. So I could have kept someone more popular, but at least there was logic to my decision. It kind of makes me think that Triton might feel a little bit unwanted, but I'm sorry mate. I would then have to draft 6 more superstars in the draft process to begin the season with at least 9 members on my roster. I was shocked to see that NXT 2.0 retained Carolina Reaper as one of their keepers, and SmackDown retained Cinnamon Garrett. They're both trying to steal my local talent strat. It's outrageous. I was then disappointed to see that none of my jobbers made it into the draft. So, just like in Season 1, I planned to draft 6 regular superstars and release them one by one each week, making sure that none of them ever appeared in a show. However, in Season 1 I was a little bit sneaky, and I was going to be sneaky this year too, but in a different way. Last season, I purposely signed popular superstars to block my opponents from drafting them. This year, I realised money would be exceptionally important, so I went for the cheapest stars, allowing my rivals to draft the most popular superstars in the world, with the exception of Jerry and Penelope of course. Alright, and Triton, which would give me the money to sign all of the jobbers that I'd need, buy as many power cards as I could possibly need each week, and max out my logistics wherever I could. Saving this money would turn out to be an accidental masterclass, but you won't find out why for a little while. At this point, I was extremely excited to get stuck into our second season, but then Penelope Perfect came straight into my inbox telling me how angry she was that I didn't put her in the show at Wrestlemania. Apparently, I disrespected her. It wasn't my fault that you were vetoed, twice. I was quickly hit with the realisation that none of this would be as easy or as straightforward as I might have initially thought. Before checking which local talent I could sign, or even if there was local talent that I could sign, I checked out the season challenges because that's one of our tasks for the year ahead. Would they all be possible? Last year, they weren't. This year, however, it seems we'd be able to do all of them, in theory at least. It might make for some tricky bookings, but I think we'll be able to get it done. But will it come at the cost of our 500,000 fan victory? And then it was time. The moment that I'd been waiting for. I finally got to see which local talent would be joining our roster. Here's the show that we managed to put on in week 1. We started with Cash Suplex, the casino owner from downtown Mississippi that briefly held the world title in Season 1. He's the mean green money machine, and he was keen to try to put himself back in the spotlight at NXT. But it wouldn't be easy. He was coming up against the military man Dante Roberts, who loves only one thing more than his country, and that's flying off the top rope. Dante might be a high-flying cruiser, but he's more than a physical match for Cash Suplex, packing a surprisingly large frame for such a nimble athlete. In an extremely buggy and glitchy match, which I can only put down to nerves because of them opening the first show of the season, and because they'd seen some of the other jobbers that were appearing on tonight's show backstage, Dante Roberts came out on top in a 3-star match that developed a rivalry between the pair. This was a solid result for us early on, but would we be able to follow it up with more good performances? We then ran our first promos of the season. Shockingly, Stacked McSlacks saw Jerry Hatrick backstage and decided to attack him for no reason. The fans sided with Jerry, obviously, and he finally gained the babyface image that he's always deserved. As for Stacked McSlacks, he's turned into a heel, the bad boy his mother knew he was all along. Will his bad boy image do wonders for the Stacked McSlacks brand, or will it cause me some serious problems down the line in this challenge? Our second match saw Chuck McWagon, a surprising fan favourite in the YouTube comments section, return to NXT to take on Triton. It would be a horrific Bruiser vs Giant normal match, but we didn't have much choice. In week 1, when you don't have 20 or 30 free agents that you can sign, you have to put some bad matches on. And side note, this is one of the reasons I don't like turning everyone into specialists in MyGM like many people recommend, because when you do that, you guarantee that all of your matchups will be perfectly fine. Not a Bruiser vs Giant that is going to penalise us in the in-game rating system. I like to play the game how it's originally designed wherever possible, which is why I also don't put jobbers into a custom draft. I like the surprise of seeing who's going to turn up. Game settings aside, if I know these two, Chuck McWagon and Triton, they're going to totally ignore their class types and put on an unbelievable performance that will shock the audience to their, it was a 1.5 star disappointing match. Triton won, and to make matters worse, they developed a rivalry from it, so we already have one feud that we need to put an end to sooner rather than later. And things might continue to get worse for us yet. In our third match, we had a women's fatal 4-way that included some new faces and some returning faces too. Ali Brawler was the first out, a previous tag team champion from season 1, and then came Precious Silver, who looked the perfect target for both Ali Brawler and Crows due to all that shiny metal she was wearing. Danielle Wallace returns to NXT. Remember, she had the highest average match rating at NXT last year and was a truly underrated and reliable performer. And then came a new jobber, Jody Garcia, a giant that rounded off a questionable match that, whilst it contained 2 new faces, actually contained 3 heels. Amazingly, 2 rivalries developed out of this match. Danielle Wallace had a bone to pick with Precious Silver, the perfect synergy for a great future rivalry, and Ali Brawler took serious issue with Jody Garcia as Garcia took the win in another 1.5 star disappointing mid-card match. Just like with Chuck McWagon, that's another Bruiser vs Giant rivalry, this time with them both being heels thrown into the mix that we'll somehow have to try to fix in a future week. After a good opener, but a disappointing middle of the card, we'd need something special to happen in our main event to save our week 1 show. This was an Extreme Rules main event match. The women's title would be on the line. Penelope Perfect waited in the ring, but who would her opponent be? Well, there's only one woman it could be. Trixie Gambit. Denied her chance at the title in our Season 1 Week 20 Premium Live event, and then denied the chance again at Wrestlemania due to vetoes on Penelope, and denied multiple other shots due to Penelope being off recording a movie. Trixie would finally get her chance tonight. I wasn't going to run the risk again. These two could fight for the title, and fight they would. Penelope started out on top and did a lot of damage to Trixie, but Trixie came back and made it an extremely even contest. But which way was this going to go? Penelope hoisted Trixie up into the air and delivered her special move, the Penelope Pit Stopper. Trixie was out for the count. 1, 2, 3. Their level 3 rivalry had managed to continue on from last season. I'm glad the game remembers that. And we finished week 1 with a 4.5 star classic match. Their rivalry grew to level 4 and their storyline is still white hot. I'm not sure how fans will feel about the result. Trixie is a heel, Penelope is our most popular star, a movie star, and a babyface, but many felt Trixie was hard done by in Season 1. We hit the drama curve perfectly. We gained 37,000 fans, the second most of the week, with Mick Foley's Raw coming out on top in the ratings. Not bad for us considering our threadbare roster of jobbers and questionable matchups that we had to put on, but we need to start improving quickly if we're going to get anywhere close to winning by 500,000 fans and complete all of our other challenges too. We start the year 106,000 fans ahead of SmackDown, who are in second place in the fan standings. In the next episode, we'll be joined by more new additions to the NXT roster, and there will be some familiar faces that certain jobbers will definitely not be happy